Hi, welcome back to Finally Revealed. In this episode, I want to start a little series. I have one video already that I will put the link below on astrology, which has been a hobby of mine for nearly my whole life. And a couple of people asked me to do some videos. I am not an astrologer. I have a few that I follow. I have had private readings. I have known my particular chart for a very long time, and I use astrology in my business and in my personal life. So it's something that I talk about. So a couple of people asked me to do a couple of videos. I will do them. If they're well received, I can do some more. Everything starts with your birth chart. And your birth chart is something completely unique to you. No one has ever had that, and no one ever will. It is done by mathematical computation. The first thing to understand is you've heard about the planets and the signs. Well, if you look up in this night sky, you see lots of star families and lots of constellations. How did they pick these? There's so many. These constellations are the ones that from Earth, when we look at the sun, the path that the sun takes from our perspective, because we all know the sun is not moving around, the Earth is moving around, but as you are sitting on Earth and watching the sun move around the Earth from our perspective, these are the constellations that the sun passes through. The moon also passes through these, so those are how they were chosen many, many, many years ago. So at the point in time, the exact minute when you were born, it is they take the location of where you were born and the time of where you were born. So that is on the grid of the Earth. Put a pin there and then look up. And where the sun was at that time is your sun sign. Where the moon was, what constellation it was, that's your moon sign. And your ascendant or your rising sign is the constellation that was on when you look at your astrology circle, it's going to be right here. It's going to be your ascendant. And that is what constellation was on the horizon at the moment of your birth. So it's those three things. Then the astrology wheel is divided up by houses, 1 through 12, and each of those houses has a meaning. So once you know the time and place of your birth, you can go to astro.com and punch it in and see it right now. If you flip over, it will show you where the planets were at the time of your birth. It will show you based upon where the ascendant is. That's really important. Where that rising sign is based upon the time of your birth dictates how your houses go, 1 through 12. So the rising sign is your first house. So once you know where your planets are, you can look at what that planet in that sign means, and then what that planet in that house means, and then combine them. Then you look at the interaction of everything in your chart. They have aspects. Some are considered favorable or easier aspects, and some are considered challenging aspects. So those, just because they're easy doesn't mean everything is great. Sometimes that indicates a little bit of laziness, and where there's a challenge, it doesn't always mean that it's bad. It just might mean there's friction or some excitement. So those are the basics to know on how to figure out and how to understand your astrology chart, your birth chart. And then whatever your ascendant sign is, your rising sign, whatever the ruler of that sign is, the planet that rules that sign, that is the ruler of your entire chart. So that has a heightened meaning. And so your sun sign is your insides, your core being. Your ascendant is how you present to the world. So how you come across to people, that is based upon your ascendant, your rising sign, not your sun sign. People have to know you a little bit to get to see the characteristics of the sun sign in you, unless those two are the same. And that can be called a true, so if you're an Aquarius and the sun was in Aquarius at the time of your birth, and Aquarius was the constellation on the horizon when you were born, then they call you a true Aquarius. You're a double Aquarius. So you're going to come across as an Aquarius, and your core being is an Aquarius. So you're going to double up on the characteristics of that sign. Then your moon sign is what nurtures you, what makes you feel good, and what you like to do for fun. And that is your moon sign. And then so the interplay between those three, and then also the other signs, each of the different planets have characteristics of themselves. For example, Pluto is change. Blowing things up is Pluto, big changes. Saturn is hard work. Jupiter is luck. And so it just goes by that. Mercury's communication. So you look at what planet is in what sign to determine what your attributes are for yourself. And as I said at the beginning, no one is like you. So if you get a birth chart reading, it's going to be based upon that birth chart from when you were born, and that is never going to change. Now, when you hear astrologers talk about the monthly forecasts and things like that, they're looking at not what was going on at the time you were born. They're looking at where things are today, or this month, or this year. When they do that, they have to have some system. The system that they have all agreed upon, at least in Western astrology, is to use the ascendant. So this month is December. They would be lining up, they have all kinds of software to do this. They would take the planets where they are today, and then they would tilt the circle so that the sign of Sagittarius is at 1 degree on the ascendant, on the rising. And that's how they give their monthly horoscopes. So they will say this is for Sagittarius. Then they will do the same thing for Cancer in the month of December, wherever the planets are, but they'll put Cancer on the ascendant. So unless you have Cancer on the ascendant, that's not going to match up for you as a Cancer sun sign, and that's where people get confused, and that's why some people said, would you please do a video? And if you don't know it, you can rectify it. There are astrologers who will do it. I think they have about 10 questions. You can Google that if you want to, and maybe do it on your own. But you can also, and I've done this with a friend, if you're close, you think it was nighttime or you think it was morning time, and you can play around on astro.com and see where things end up, and then read about the rising sign where you think it is, and then say, is that really me? And I had that happen to me because I had the wrong time of birth, and so I was thinking that I was this one rising sign when it was pretty obvious I wasn't. Then eventually I got the correct rising sign, and now I'm good to go. So this is very basic information on astrology. If you're interested in how it might work for you and why it even matters to you, it's a mathematical computation. It's been going on for years and years and years, and the planetary aspects and things. It's very interesting, and it can really give you insights about yourself and about other people. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, give me a thumbs up, leave any comments or questions below, subscribe to see our other videos, and come back and see me next time. Thanks for watching.